All right, this is Stephen Klein. I'm with my buddy Robby Besner. How you doing, Robby?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you
Robby,
today?
doing awesome. As you see with the banner, Robby is of Therasage.com, and he's been working with infrared healing devices for north of 20 years. And today we're going to have a little discussion about the Thera360 and kind of all about that. Well, we're going to take a look at it as well. So, Robby, I've got a lot of questions about the 360, as a lot of people do, and I'm really excited to hear some of your answers on that and share some of your passion on your infrared sauna.
Great. Well, that you've hit on a bunch of words already that I like because it truly is a passion. It's not work. And it is almost like therapy for me because it's created the whole movement of the development of this technology has been almost like cathartic. You know, one discovery led to another, and it's kind of the antithesis or the culmination of so many things that we've done over the last 20 plus years in the energy space, you know, harnessing the full spectrum of frequencies from sunlight in the infrared category. So it's pretty exciting. The Thera360, we picked that name particularly because when you're sitting in your seat in sort of the center of the cabin, soft cabin, you're virtually swimming, you're bathing in frequency. It's all around you. And we designed it, you know, with special radiant barrier. I mean, I'll talk about things, Stephen, today that you probably haven't heard from me.
Okay, so before you go deep, I'm going to back up because the first question I get from lay people or people that, like I was before I knew what infrared sauna was, could you first briefly explain the difference in the therapeutic effects and differences between a sauna, or dry box, you're just a dry sauna, like people are used to, and an infrared sauna? What is the difference?
Okay. Well, the physics are simple. A dry hot rock sauna or a steam room work on the same principle, which is called convection heat. And that is that you've got a heating element here, and that element heats up the ambient air, and that ambient air touches your skin. And then eventually it heats up the surface of your skin, and that heat starts to permeate, and that creates the physiology. In that format, convection heat, you actually need to superheat the air. So we're talking about north of 185 degrees Fahrenheit in order for you to get enough heat to penetrate through the skin. And interestingly enough, Stephen, our bodies have a insulating layer of fat just under the skin. Mine's a little thicker than most because I'm a little older and I'm carrying probably an inch or two more than I need. But that insulating layer of fat is designed to keep the integrity of the inside of your body chemistry intact, meaning that it protects your organs and your vital muscles or vital organs and muscles from extreme heat or extreme cold. That's simple. Now, with infrared frequencies, works different. That's sunlight. It's a wavelength. And it doesn't heat the ambient air. It actually penetrates seamlessly through that insulating layer of fat under your skin because the frequencies in the infrared spectrum, certain frequencies, harmonize with the water inside the fat cell, and it just goes straight in. It's a beautiful thing. It's sunlight. We're designed to receive sunlight. Our skin is our largest organ, and it's a photoreceptor, and so there are spectrums of sunlight that the skin receives to create vitamin D, let's say. That's the UV spectrum. But the infrared particularly is a radiant type of vibration, a frequency. It penetrates seamlessly through the body. And for that reason, different than the hot rock sauna or the steam room that have to be elevated temperatures of north of 185 degrees, which basically we wither in. We're not designed to stay in that kind of heat for very long. In the infrared sauna, it, basically, unless you're fighting a particular health challenge, 125 degrees Fahrenheit is a perfect temperature, which is just maybe 27 degrees warmer than your core temperature. And for me anyway, I mean, I've been doing it for 20 plus years, but basically you can kind of stay in it, you know, after your body acclimates for as long as you want without getting heat frustration per se. So these are pretty dramatic primal differences in the two different formats. Both are effective. Both will make you sweat, okay? But there's a big difference in the detoxification and all the other attributes, physiological attributes that infrared will do, infrared sauna will do, as opposed to the hot rock or the steam room convection heat format. And so sweating is probably the most efficient way to get poison out. But one dramatic difference is because sunlight or infrared energy frequencies is a wavelength that actually creates what's called a bioresonance or a vibration inside the body down to a cell level. And that's breaking loose all the bonds of all the toxins. So whereas the hot rock sauna, the steam room, you'll sweat, but that's just pulling out the poisons or the toxins that are readily available in your bloodstream, the free radicals that are in your bloodstream. What about the heavy metals? What about all these chemicals like glyphosate and, you know, that are stuck inside our cells, that inside our soft tissues and organs and so forth? The most efficient way is clearly the infrared sauna format.
Awesome. All right. So that's a perfect segue now to talk a little bit about the spectrum of light, the infrared spectrum of light. Obviously it's not visible. So when you say sunlight coming in, some people watching this would go, wait, mine must be off because I didn't see the sunlight coming in through my sauna. So if you want to talk a little bit about the spectrum of light with infrared, and then you can segue, you know, tail right into that, the full spectrum, and then I'll get into a couple other questions. So
okay, so you're 100% right. Infrared spectrum is invisible to the eye, and so you get people that are looking for the light to be the source. Truly, you know, infrared spectrum is defined in science. NASA is probably the best way for you to, for all that are interested, you can Google or you can go to the NASA site, and they'll actually give you the full ranges of all the different frequencies that come from sunlight. So you can't see it. And there are different kinds of formats to bring infrared frequency, that wavelength, into a sauna cabin. And so some of the other companies out there will actually use a light bulb of sort to bring certain frequencies within the spectrum. We've discovered a way that's very unique that creates a composite. We found earth elements that actually generate these frequencies on their own. And then when we electrify them and we add other special formulas, which we'll talk more at length as we get into our interview, collectively, we've been able to harness the full spectrum, which is basically from 600 nanometers all the way out to about 14,000 nanometers. After 1,000, it's called a micron. So it would be, correctly said, it would be 600 nanometers all the way out to around 14 microns of wavelengths. And we've been able to do it in a way that no one else has been able to copy. It's very original work, and it's pretty miraculous. The reason why we've discovered this method, and the reason why we are using full spectrum as a platform, is because essentially one of our rudimentary principles, I call them the pillars of Therasage. So one of the pillars is actually that we try to follow the playbook that nature gave us. Wow, imagine that. I mean, in the Western medical model, the Western medicine, they like to dissect things. You know, let's find the exact frequency that means this exact thing, and that's the one we're going to isolate. Let's find the exact enzyme or hormone or the exact chemical, biochemical, recreate it, make it synthetic, and then put it in a pill format, and then that's going to do this. Well, what we've noticed is that certainly is good in many circumstances, and I don't want to diminish Western medicine because there is certainly a place for it at the table. But we've kind of lost the big picture in the process, Stephen. And I think that having a strong foundation of what nature gave us, that playbook, if we follow that, and then we kind of tweak it a little bit by adding a little extra this and that based on people's symptoms or what their challenge is or what their goals are, is the way to really approach this. And so what we've done with our infrared sauna, as we have with all of our other devices at Therasage, is we've just basically followed nature. We've we harness full spectrum. That is the near, middle, and far frequencies. That's the full range defined by NASA and by science of infrared frequencies. And each of them do different things. So whenever you're ready, we can talk about what each of the frequencies do and why they do it. But particularly,
I'm not even gonna have to talk now, because my next question was, hey, Robby, can you give a brief description of the benefits of far, middle, and near infrared? And so, yeah.
Right. Okay. So we're there. I didn't realize we arrived so quickly. So it's a great topic now, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a big rage about the near frequencies, how important they are, and a whole bunch of technology and companies that have developed the near frequency saunas, near frequency light panels, red light panels, all that. And like I just stated, I think it's important. Those are really important frequencies, but what about the middle? What about the far frequencies? Why are they left out? They all do different things. They're actually generated by the sun, and they're been given to us in nature for very specific reasons. And I think if you just, all far is no good and all near is no good, that's why I kind of like the mix or the full spectrum. And what we did, which was probably a little bit crazy or anal retentive on my side, was we looked at the average of the frequencies that come. Well, what happens in nature, Stephen, is that the atmosphere is actually a filter, and that filter changes minute by minute. The density of the atmosphere changes. And so based on that, the amount of light that hits the earth from moment to moment changes. There's no 2 days, there's no 2 moments that are the same. And so what we did is we took the weighted average, the first standard deviation of the weighted average of the full range of full spectrum infrared frequencies that hit the earth on an annual basis. And that's the cocktail that we use in terms of weighting our frequencies in our full spectrum. So we're probably the closest to what the sun delivers every day to the earth. So let's just talk about the different frequencies. The near frequencies are super for skin and 3 centimeters deep kinds of challenges. So eczema, psoriasis, wound healing, the natural production of collagen. That's super great for anti-aging, things like that. That's the near frequency spectrum. For on a cell level, there's what's called the powerhouse of the cell is the mitochondria, and it's been proven already in science that near wavelengths will actually stimulate mitochondrial distress. And so how that translates, it's basically cell energy. So for people that are chronically challenged, cancer, Lyme disease, chronic fatigue, any of that stuff, their cells are stressed, their organs are stressed, and basically their mitochondria are stressed. So if you could do one thing that could really help that category of health challenges, we would give them a little more cell energy. They feel like they're getting their lives back. So you can only imagine, right? And the other thing is that near frequencies will produce nitric oxide naturally. There's 3 transient gases that the body produces, and nitric oxide is one of them. Super important. It's one thing it does is it creates vasodilation, so the very small little capillaries and blood vessels that are, our body's full of them. It will cause them to dilate. So we're taking a vessel that's small and we're making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, so that there's more blood flow, less encumbered blood flow that goes through the vein or the artery when it's bigger. And blood carries all your nutrition, your healing properties, and oxygen. So that's, the key to cell health is blood flow. So And also, as we get older, past the age of 30, we start making less nitric oxide. So we suffer from oxidative stress, which is the reason why we age. And so here we are again. Sunlight, infrared spectrum, near frequencies support the natural production of nitric oxide, which also triggers your blood to grab more oxygen when you make it available. So that mechanism is in place. All we have to do is spark it with using some, some natural sunlight or the infrared spectrum, the near frequency. So that's the near. The middle, it's not like it's not understood. It's the penetration is somewhere between 3 centimeters and 8 centimeters, depending on the individual's body makeup. It's called BMI, but the thickness of their concentration of fat to muscle ratio. And so it does everything that the near and the far does. It just does it kind of in the middle of the way. So it'll capture the little bigger veins and arteries and cause them to dilate. And then we slip to the far, and for the longest time, I mean, we're talking about 10 plus years, the far frequencies dominated the infrared sauna and infrared category, because that was the technology that was the easiest to perfect. It was very cost effective. It's the most cost effective way to heat. Again, we're not heating up ambient air. We're going right, it basically comes right into the body. And these frequencies, infrared spectrum frequencies, they harbor or resonate in the densest parts of our bodies, which is our, basically our soft tissues, our organs, and our muscles. So, and they stay there. And that's another difference, by the way, between hot rock sauna and infrared. When you step outside of a hot rock sauna or a steam room and the heat source is cut off, the therapy is gone. Your skin cools down to room temperature and your session is over.
Right.
With infrared, because the frequencies are actually harboring inside your muscle, when you step out of that sauna, if you don't jump into a cold shower right away, your muscles are still warm and vibrant. Those vessels are still dilated. Your metabolism is still accelerated, probably 10 to 15% more than normal. So all that happens, and it can be sustained for generally 1 to 1.5 times longer than the treatment time. So
wow.
An hour in the sauna could be an hour to an hour and a half after the sauna, that those frequencies are still resonating inside your body, creating a therapeutic event. These are subtle but big differences.
Yeah.
So the far frequencies, they could penetrate as deep as 3 inches. They go after the deep muscles, the deep tissues, the deep organs, and they go after the big vessels, the big veins and arteries, and cause them to dilate. So collectively, you've got a cocktail of frequencies that are basically probably the best healing spectrum of frequencies from all of sun energy.
Wow. Well, Robby, one of the things that I'm really excited about, and for the viewers to see the sauna, is that you literally can set this thing up, break it down in about a minute. It's really compact, convenient. You can travel with it. And because of that, it's the materials to create it. You've made things of all of your products are affordable to the general public. You're looking to get one in every home. And so you've got it priced in a way that everybody can afford this infrared sauna. And because of that, a lot of people think, oh, well, I've seen, a big, box infrared sauna that costs $7,000. And it's made out of wood. So it must be better because it costs a lot more and it's a lot bigger and it's made of wood. So, and I know you've got some wooden saunas you have made, from the Amish. Would you share with the audience why it's better, number one, for your head not to be in the sauna, some of the things about EMFs, off-gassing, why you made the sauna the way it is, and why that particular type and design of sauna is actually superior to the box saunas. And then we can take a look at it outside.
Okay, perfect. Wow, that was a compounded question. I'm not sure if I remember all of what you wanted.
Well, you don't let me speak, so I would have to squeeze everything in. I'm just kidding.
No, it's all good. So just make sure if I go off the road, you pull me back in. Well, the difference between wood saunas and the soft format is, well, we don't take up a footprint in your room. So when we first started on this journey, like 20 plus years ago, and we developed a wooden sauna, we made some mistakes. The first thing was that the woods are super important. And what we were doing was we were going to Canada, we were getting Canadian cedar, sending it to China, having the wood tooled, having the electronics put in, and then bringing it into the US. What I didn't know is that the US regulatory bodies, the FDA and the Border Patrol, US Customs and so forth, they require that all foreign woods that are brought into the US have to be sprayed with chemicals, DDTs particularly, to kill all the bacteria and potential insects that might be living inside the woods from foreign countries. So I was super smart, Stephen, because I got to spray my woods twice, once going out of Canada and then once coming out of China, coming into the US. So I discovered this early on within the first year of getting this whole operation up. And then I said, no, this is not good, because we started treating more chronically ill patients, and many of them have allergies and chemical sensitivities. And so you don't want to be in the sauna looking to detox and pull out your poisons, and at the same time, the off-gassing from the chemicals in the woods are coming into the sauna and you're breathing that back in. No,
Yeah.
not a good plan. And so what we did was we actually found a company here in the US. There's only 3, and maybe now there's 4 US companies that use US woods, and so they don't have to be, they're not imported. They cost more than the imports do, maybe as much as 3 times more, but they're worth it because the woods are not treated. And the ones that we use are actually aspen wood, and the aspens grow above 2,000 feet. And in the plant kingdom, there's a natural insecticide that a plant makes, a tree makes, that's called a terpene. And so because the aspens live above in terms of the height, that many of the bacteria and insects that would normally kill a plant or a tree, they don't make the terpenes that the woods from lower altitudes actually make. And so we get the nicest wood, and we also get woods that don't have terpenes. And so there isn't even any natural off-gassing from the woods that we use. So our wooden sauna collection is very unique, but there is a big difference between wood sauna and the portable. And the first one you identified was certainly the price. So when we made the wood sauna, what we got was some pushback from the public in the US. I really need the sauna, but I can't afford it, because generally, like you pointed out, they're $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000, right, for the good ones. I really need the sauna, but I live in a $1 million apartment on Park Avenue in New York, and I only have 700 square feet. So what do I do? Because I actually don't have room for the footprint. And so that got me thinking, what if I could come up with a sauna that was less than $1,000 and was collapsible or could fold up, so you could put in a closet or under a bed? And that was the genesis of my thinking behind the design of the portable. Yes, it looks like something out of an I Love Lucy episode. Your head is out, your hands are out, but most of the integrated functional doctors will admit or concede that this portable format is actually the healthiest and the best for your physiology, for healing. And the reason why is simply because your head is out. So why is that so important? Well, your brain is much more sensitive to temperature than your body is. And so if I'm working with someone with cancer, many cancers are heat sensitive. So if I could raise your core temperature up, your body temperature up, which is called hypothermia. And it's a very common, even in the US, it's used in conjunction with, and the oncologists will use it in conjunction with chemo and radiation. They'll also use hypothermia to raise the core. And so how do I raise your core body temperature and not affect your brain temperature at the same time? Most viruses and bacteria can't live above 101.5 to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. you're above 102 degrees Fahrenheit, your T57 killer cells or your lymphatic system is 800 times more active above 102. So think about how beautiful nature is. Again, the playbook. As let's say you get a virus of some kind, your brain senses the invader, turns off the thermostat, your core temperature starts raising. That's called a fever. You get to 1.5, 101.5, 102. And now there's a natural die-off of viruses and bacteria. And at the same time, there's an accelerated amount of your lymphatic system, which is your immune system, going after the die-off, going after all the weakened invaders. So that's essentially how our immune systems work, okay? And so in the portable format with your head out, I can raise your core up because your body can withstand a lot more temperature than your head can, your brain can. So your brain is at room temperature, and now your body, I can raise that core up, and bam, we're set up for a perfect cocktail for healing, invaders, viruses, colds, cancers, things of that nature.
Robby, the portable sauna goes up to what temperature again?
170 degrees Fahrenheit. Most of the wooden ones won't get up to more than 140 or so. They hold the temperature better because they've got thicker walls, but we overcompensate. That's why our temperature goes. And also, it may take an hour for a wooden sauna to get up to 140, where our sauna will get up to 140 in 15 minutes or less. So these are all key differences, and I'll keep bouncing back and forth so the viewers really get a good feel for the information so that they can make the best choice. The wooden saunas are beautiful. Our wooden saunas are made by Amish wood craftsmen. They're probably the best in the world. But as beautiful as they are, there are restrictions. If I was going to raise my core, I couldn't do it as effectively in the wooden one. Also what's nice about the portable is your head's out, so you get to kind of view the landscape of the room or your, great room, wherever you have it, where the wooden cabin, even though there's glass around, it's a little more confining. For people that still have dental amalgams, this was pointed out to me by one of the top biological dentists in the country. He said, Robby, when you heat up an amalgam, there's off-gassing of that mercury. So when you're in the wooden cabin and you have amalgams, you're heating those amalgams up, so you're actually getting a little more mercury toxic, which can't be good for you. So what else? So claustrophobia, the hypothermia, the amalgams, and then the last thing, and this is more subtle, when you're sweating, it's been already proven. There's been a study that they measured a drop of sweat in an individual that did a hot rock sauna, a steam room, and then an infrared sauna. And there's 85% more toxin in that one drop of sweat in the infrared sauna because of that bioresonance, what I described earlier about that vibration breaking up these toxins, breaking them loose and actually getting them into your bloodstream and getting them out through your sweat. So that's kind of an important difference just there alone, to note that concentration of the toxin. So now if you're in the wooden sauna and, we all pay attention to the big drops of sweat that come down, but what about the mist? In the mist are little droplets that you can hardly even see, but that's still in the air. Your breathing and your lungs are one of the most efficient ways to get things into your bloodstream. So potentially, in those micro droplets of mist in the cabin, you actually could be breathing some of that toxin in that you're trying so hard to get out. Now, what percentage, I don't know. I haven't seen any assays or studies, but it just makes common sense to me that certainly if your head is out, you're not breathing a lot of that potential toxin back in. And so those are pretty strong reasons that bode towards the portable format. We have a place where you can, in ours, that you can unzip the front and bring your hands out. They're little portals we created, so you can, if you want to, you can work on answer emails and answer phone calls and things like that, or just hold the clicker for the TV or the stereo. And we have little pockets in the front. And when we get outside in a few minutes, I'll give you a little tour of the portable sauna so you get a feel
Nice.
for it.
So Robby, another thing that you bring up or hear you talk about all the time is the 360 degree, hence the name Thera360. You talk about the importance of just having those frequencies come around you, all the way around 360 degrees.
Yeah, it's, some of the other formats, they just basically have a heater or they have a light bulb. If it's like one of the companies, they use a light, and they say, well, just sit on your stool and rotate around. Well, yeah, that's okay. That's one way to do it. But we just thought that a more efficient way was simply just have you somewhat positioned in the middle and then have panels of frequencies all around you. And actually we have one that's under your feet, because the bottom of your soles of your feet is also another way that you can pull toxins out. And so we have one there. So we've got basically 5 panels, one on either side and one behind. One that sits, is positioned in front against the front of the sauna on the floor. That's perpendicular, that is the front panel, and that goes up to about your shin height. And then there's one that your feet rest on. So that's 5 panels, all generating full spectrum infrared frequencies. And it's, I think, one of the clearly the most therapeutic device on the planet in terms of for sauna and detoxing. We can get into many of the modalities. The other thing that I guess we can segue into other unique features about our format, right? Is that okay?
Well, if you want to talk about, with Harmony Shield, EMFs are a huge thing, and this, shielding you from, electromagnetic frequencies that are not the beneficial ones from the earth, but the ones that are man-made. You want to speak a little bit of what you did to insulate people from the harmful effects of EMFs?
Okay, so that started with a dream or a notion I had maybe 14 years ago now. And in my dream, I thought that, well, okay, if the body had to choose, I assumed that EMF, electromagnetic fields that are man-made, there could be some interaction with the body somehow. And if, let's say it's a negative, for this discussion, it's a negative interaction. If the body had to choose between the protecting itself against the negative effects of electromagnetic fields or receiving all the beautiful positive effects of full spectrum infrared, what's it going to do? What's the brain going to direct your shielding or your body to do? And so from all of my health science work and education, the brain is basically here it's the command unit that's supposed to preserve the body and keep you alive. It's constantly mixing, like an apothecary, all the different influences and stressors to create what's called homeostasis, or some kind of harmony in the body, all at milliseconds from the minute that you wake. Even when you're sleeping, it's doing it. So my notion was, I thought that it would try to protect itself against EMF, and if it was doing that, then how much of the infrared that I'm generating is the body really going to absorb? I really didn't know. And so what I thought was, why ponder it? Why not just take the EMF out of the equation? If I filter that out somehow, then all the body gets is the pure frequencies of the infrared spectrum, right? And so now fast forward, back 14 years ago, we didn't have the proliferation of cell towers and cell phones and Bluetooth this and that and wireless everything that we are experiencing in today's world. But then I just thought that I couldn't see the benefit of it. And so I thought there would be more benefit in filtering it. So we started learning and developing technology that would shield electromagnetic fields 14 years ago. And just recently, in the last 3 to 5 years, we've been focusing on ELF, which the whole industry hasn't really looked at that closely. And that's ELF stands for extreme low frequencies, and it's defined loosely as dirty electricity. And so we've actually, in our new technology, we've actually shielding for ELF, which I think eventually people will understand the science of that. And then there'll be more tech that will protect people from ELF. And I think that EMF and ELF together are a bad combination. I think it's one of the new stressors that's causing havoc with people's health. And as we move forward, I think that's only going to get worse. So we're playing our little part, because that sauna will actually pull the EMF out. It just doesn't detox you from environmental toxins and so forth. It also pulls out EMF. So if I can create a safe house in that sauna that you're protected from getting influence from EMF, and also pull the EMF that's residing inside your tissues at the same time, we got something to talk about, don't we?
Yep. So one of the other features that I know that you have given a lot of thought to, and that is the material that cabin infrared sauna, the Thera360, is made from to prevent off-gassing, like the sprayed wood with the EDDT and all the other things, even compared to other cabin infrared saunas that are out there that don't have the gemstones and the frequencies and everything else. But can you speak a little bit to what you've done to prevent off-gassing with your sauna?
Okay. Well, so all of the products that we make at Therasage are guided by the agency called the FDA. And so they have very specific guidelines. And so what we've done is we've taken a pure medical approach to all of our products we make, and we list and register them with the FDA. And part of the requirements that they ask for is that you have certain tolerances on materials, particularly that there aren't any VOCs, which are the volatile compounds. That is what people call off-gassing. And generally, when you heat up anything, any kind of material, that's when you'll get that off-gassing. And so we've been very particular to hand cherry pick the materials that we use so that there aren't any VOCs, and also that we sent our materials out to be tested by one of it's kind of like the United Laboratories of Material Testing. The acronym is NAMSA, N-A-M-S-A. And so all of our devices are third-party tested, so that it's not just what we do in our own laboratory, but we test to make sure that they actually meet FDA's requirements. We've actually gone above FDA requirements in the things that we've done, but at least as a standard, it's pretty good baseline gold standard accepted by most countries around the world, not just the US. So we use natural gemstones in our materials. We use a poly blend of a fabric that's natural. We use bamboo is another material that we use in our fabrics and in the frame of the sauna. And so basically everything that we're doing, we're taking the approach that the person sitting in that sauna has a chronic challenge, health challenge, a chronic health challenge. And so if I had one, what would I want to be in? What kind of sauna would I want to be in that could help me and not also hurt me along the way a little bit? And so our materials we use are very, very hand chosen, and we look at it very carefully.
All right, Robby. So now, there's some other features and benefits like the Thera3, the essential oils, but why don't we take this show outside?
So first thing, this is the way it comes when you get it out of the box. It actually comes with a carrying case like this, and the whole thing weighs like maybe 28 pounds or so. So it's kind of like the size of a massage table, but you can see that it's how easy it is to unzip, put in the case, and you can store this under the bed or in a closet. So that we did that on purpose. So I'm going to set this aside.
Those are good on purpose. I like that one.
Yeah. And then, for all the viewers, the original sauna that people know us for is the black one, but about about a year ago or so, we introduced the white version, the pearl white version. So that's the one we're going to show today to showcase the Thera360. And this is kind of what it looks like. This is the flap that you can put over the top when you're warming it up if you choose to do that. Or just if it's in your living room, like as you can see, it's in my living room. Just to cover the area where your head would come out, it makes it a little bit more finished cabin. These are the zippers that I referred to earlier that you can bring your hands out. Notice that they're on an angle, and the reason why we did that was, come on a little closer. The reason why we did that was because people have different shoulder widths. And like, for instance, my wife, Melody, her shoulders are a lot narrower. So when we had the original zippers were straight up, and she was always bumping against the side. So now she can find a comfortable spot. So we found that this is a little more efficient. Here are the pockets that we mentioned. And as you can see, I have the controller and this one over here. I'm going to step aside. We have this little Velcro piece here that you can put the cord for the controller around, and that sets up so that if you just want to use this pocket for something else, you can let it dangle. But when you're inside, you can easily just find the cord and then just make the adjustments and so forth. Okay, so coming inside the sauna, it's pretty well set up. It comes with an additional zip out collar. So you can zip one in, you can wash one. It just comes off really simple like that. And then set it up, and then you bring the zipper down. This little crossbar is set up to basically keep the cabin, the integrity of the cabin apart. You can lean on it a little bit, but not put all your body weight on it. But you know, that's what that one's set up for. As you can see in the front, we have the front panel. When you set it up, you have the Therasage logo facing out, and on the inside, there's actually a infrared element there. So if you feel it, you can feel a little softness to the inside. Now, if you come a little closer in here, you can see that there's also a foot pad, and we've delineated where you have to keep your feet, so you know what side to face up when you put the sauna together. Underneath on the bottom here, there is a foam floor. So when you get the unit, the foam floor is against the back. These two pieces are against the back. And then let me just show you. You can see that we have this as a bend here, and there's some Velcro. So when you get it, it's like that. It doesn't quite fit. You have to bend it on the crease, and then that way it fits perfectly across the front. And then, of course, keeps the integrity of the cabin aside, also introduces the heat into the cabin. This is the portable chair that comes with it. It'll hold someone up to about 185, maybe 200 pounds. And again, this will be folded up. It's probably the best portable chair on the market that you can get for a device like this. This is also folded up and held against the back. So all you have to do is lift the back up. Goes right down, you put it on top like that. And I mean, you can get an idea about how easy this is. You just fold the sides in. So opening it up, you open it up, put the floor down, place the front pad and the foot pad, put the chair in place, plug it in, and you're ready to go. Really
Literally takes a minute to set up and break down. Blows me away. So no matter how small your place is, I live in a downtown area in Florida where I've got a very small apartment, trading off for the convenience of being able to walk everywhere. And I've got my Thera360 set up against the wall in the living room. I open it up, put it between two lazy boys that are recliners, and boom, I'm good to go. It's unbelievable.
That's it. So, you know, if you want to set it up or take it down, we just keep ours up all the time because we use it every day. But, you know, it's up to you. Now let's just take a quick shot of the controller.
Zoom in.
Basically, after you plug it in, you just you can see the red light that shows you that it's powered. When you hit the on button, it defaults to 125 degrees Fahrenheit. And how well you can see that.
Yep.
And then you just have a couple of different options. So you can bring the temperature all the way up to 170, as you can see. And then the other option is the time, and it defaults to 60 minutes, but you can bring it all the way up to 90 minutes. And the reason why we designed it this way is because, again, from our earlier discussion, one of the things that we like to do is to create what's called hypothermia, and you need longer and hotter time frames. All the other saunas on the market basically last for only 30 minutes and can get up to maybe 140 degrees at best. So you're constantly tweaking the controller, it times out. It just was super annoying. So when we designed this, we designed it so that basically it can operate. You know, the operator can just hit the button and get their session and be ready to go.
Awesome. So for a retail price under $1,000, you've got all the features and benefits we discussed. Doesn't take up any room. Sets up, breaks out in a minute. Boom. All right. So let's go over some of these other cool features we have for the Thera360, Robby?
All right. Well, we just had a chance to look at everything outside, and I just wanted to again advance my my notion. But one thing I wanted to mention earlier was that what's another unique feature for the 360 is that every part of that sauna is plug and play. So we have been making portable saunas now for better part of maybe 12 years. And the first generation that we made was an integrated unit that basically, if a part broke, we'd have to recall the sauna back. It would take sometimes 3 days to a week to get it. We'd take a week to repair it and another week to get it back. So if you've got a chronic challenge, you're out of pocket 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow.
Now in the Thera360 format, every part plugs in and plugs out. It's truly plug and play. And so if for some reason the sauna fails, it's an electrical device, there's a power surge or a bolted lightning, hits your neighborhood or something, or just the part just wore out for whatever reason, we can diagnose it on a phone call within a minute and then FedEx overnight the part that you need. And so you just plug out the old one and plug in the new one, and bam, you're back flying the plane. And it's truly amazing from that piece, or that engineering alone. It's truly, there's no other sauna on the market that actually has those features. So that's a plus. So then, maybe about 2.5 years ago, I thought my thinking shifted to it not just being a sauna. We're really doing health science here. And clearly, and we haven't gone into it yet, and maybe that's for another interview where we can actually talk about many of the modalities. And I'd like to actually have another interview with you to just talk about best practices for sauna so we can break it out.
Sure.
But my thought was, you're in that sauna, and the beginning first week or two, I would recommend to everyone, no matter how, challenged you are with maybe a health problem, I'd recommend starting off at 130 degrees for about 30 minutes. So now if you're in the sauna for 30 minutes, what other modalities can I introduce into that cabin? Can I stack? Can I interact? It's called synergies. Sometimes the effects of two things is greater than adding it up. And so what other modalities could I introduce into that therapeutic zone in that cabin that you can use while you're in the sauna for 30 minutes? And so what came to mind, and the first thing we developed was a special kind of atomizer, a diffuser for essential oils. Essential oils are medicines. Most pharmaceutical medicines mimic the actual natural oils and from plants and flowers. And so they've looked at it very carefully under a microscope. They've created the same kind of thing looking under a microscope. So both of them, both the natural format and the pharmaceutical or synthetic, will look the same. They don't act the same way with the body, but they look the same under a microscope. Anyway,
right.
What we decided was, let's make a diffuser that only brings the essential oils in. Let's make a few essential oils, a couple of blends, so that people can kind of jumpstart into the category and bring that into the cabin. So let me show you what it looks like. It's called Thera Aroma. It's kind of cool, and you can see the size of it. It's almost as big as my head. And if you look inside, you can see there's a glass pipette, and this is how easy it is to clean. You just pop this guy out, put a little isopropyl alcohol in it, swish it around with a Q-tip, pour it out, and then just pop it back in. Then in the back, you charge it back here with a little microcharger that goes into one of those cubes. You pop the top on. Of course, you put your oils right in here, right in there. And you need 10 drops of oil, and I like the organic oils to prime it. And then all you do is you just hit this little button. It's hard to see here, but that turns it on, and then I don't see can you see that mist coming out?
Yeah. Yep. How long will that last? How long will one full little bulb of oil last?
Well, 10 drops will last for at least 3 or 4 sauna sessions.
Cool.
But because it's a concentrated oil, like most people are buying these $30 misters, so they take a beautiful organic harmonically balanced in nature oil that's been extracted, right? The essential
Right.
oil.
Right.
And they put it in water.
Right.
And even if it's good filtered water, that process denatures the energetics of the oil. What we're using here is it's capturing everything. So you don't need as much of it for you to get it in. And what are you doing? You're breathing it in through your mouth. And of course, now we have our head out, right? So what I've done is we've actually, when you start sweating, it creates a permeable membrane in your skin. And so as you're getting toxins out, your skin becomes a breathing organ to get things in.
Nice.
And one of the fastest ways to get it into your bloodstream is through your skin. The next is through your lungs.
I love it.
So we're catching both things. And our blends are very unique. We have 3 that we've come up with. One is called Radiance, and the other one is called Revitalize, and the third one we call in Grace.
Nice.
Okay, and basically there are 4 or 5 different triple organic oils. We've hired a chemist out of Colorado, of course. That's where they breed aromatherapists in Colorado, and then we run all the oils after they're mixed over particular crystals. So there's actual energy that carries in from the sunlight that's in a crystal, and so that's our secret sauce.
Nice.
But the blend, you can find that on our website. Again, this is just a jump start because most people that use aromatherapy, they like doTERRA or Young Living, and they like their own sources. So we didn't want to compete with that, but we did want to offer something that's unique in our own approach, as well as people that don't know anything about aromatherapy, they can get started with that.
Love it.
So what's nice about this little unit is that you can put it on the base of the sauna, use it while you're in there for 10 or 15 minutes. But then you can take it out and you can put it in the room, and you can put it in your bedroom, or you can put it in the bathroom. We travel with these things, Stephen. So the first thing I do is I put it in my hotel room, and I put in an oil that I like, a lavender or basil or, sacred frankincense, and it clears that musty smell in the hotel room when you first get in.
Yeah. All right.
Fantastic item.
So that's amazing. So to keep us moving, though, would you share with us what you developed with the Thera3?
O3, yeah. So O3 is the term that is used in chemistry for ozone. It's oxygen. O2 is oxygen. O3 is ozone. So it's oxygen with an extra O. And so what we did was we said, okay, what's another thing that we can stack in that sauna? And many people, as I mentioned earlier in our discussion, as they get older, they suffer from oxidative stress. Their blood is not holding oxygen as it used to when they were kids. And as I mentioned earlier, we stopped making our ability to make nitric oxide starts to diminish as we get older after the age of 30. So that combination, making less nitric oxide, allowing us the blood to carry more or less oxygen is a problem. And so how do we reverse that? Well, sort of the near frequencies in our infrared sauna will produce nitric oxide. And then that's triggering the blood to grab more oxygen. Again, we're using our skin as a breathing organ. And then we developed the Thera3, which is a little device like this. You can see it's actually not too much smaller, but comparable in size to the diffuser. And it has 2 little buttons on it. The O3 button, you just hold it in for basically about 3 or 4 seconds. You can see the lights lighting up. This tells you what the charge is. And again, this guy charges back here. You just open up this flap. You put a little microcharger cord to the back here.
Yep.
You put it in there, and then if you want, also you can put in your USB. You can use the battery in here as an extra battery backup for your cell phone if it goes out.
I did not even know that. All this.
Yeah. So you can use that little USB thing. So I told you, Stephen, whenever we talk, you'll always learn new things from me. So if you click the button once, you can notice, how well you can notice it's green. But if you click it a second time, it turns yellow. The green light is a 30-minute session. The yellow light is a 1-hour session. And what's unique about this is there's a little fan back here. It pulls the oxygen in. It runs it over a special light bulb that we discovered and developed. And the light source splits the O2 into unstable O1s. So now what's coming out of this side is an unstable O1 that is looking to hook up with an O2. So O2 plus O1 equals O3. Hence, we have breathable ozone, which is usually not found. So this is a really great device. Again, in the sauna, half hour or an hour, depending on your session, you can take it out, put it in the car, gets rid of all bacteria and airborne viruses. So in a bathroom, in a small, doesn't, you know, I mean, an office that's 10 by 15, it would be okay. Or your hotel room. So we travel with these. But we developed it for the sauna. There also is another button here, Stephen. I don't know how well you can see it.
Yep. Negative ion.
Or yeah, it says ion on it, and if you click that button, it turns blue, and it's actually generating negative ions, and it's about 20,000 times more than normal air. So negative ions are great for calming the body down. You get them at a rainforest or at a waterfall or by the beach when the sand when the ocean hits the sand, the wave hits the sand, it frees up electrons, and it's a great technology. So you got both of those in this guy, and together these guys are amazing. The last thing that we've introduced into the sauna is guided meditation. And so collectively, the stacking of all these different modalities for that 30 minutes, you're getting a hell of a, I want to say a workout, but it's really not a workout. This is probably the healthiest kinds of things you can do for yourself, and by combining them all together.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I schedule my sauna use, but now all these cool things to put inside. And then we'll talk when we do the interview on the Thera, that's another modality you can do while you're in the sauna. I did it yesterday. Phenomenal. So thanks a lot for your time, Robby. I mean, when people have questions about saunas, watching this clears up a lot of misunderstandings or opinions about saunas and why someone would think one thing's better. I mean, just hearing you go through that again, I mean, it's like, wow. I mean, there were a lot of things that I learned that I thought that I knew that I didn't. So I appreciate your time with that. And I look forward to our next session.
Yeah, me too. It's a ongoing process. This is not work for me. It's my life and my body of work. I feel, Stephen, like I'm a vessel, and the things I discover every day, I'm discovering something new. So it doesn't surprise me, even if you haven't heard it before, or even if you ask the question a different way. I'm wearing a different headset now than I did 5 years ago. And so it's a joy for me to be with you today, to share this knowledge with your viewers, and to elevate everybody's understanding of infrared and how to incorporate it into their lifestyle every day to make a huge difference in the way that they feel, and actually just to live out their dreams. Because it upsets me greatly when I hear from my medical colleagues that they're getting women, that 14-year-old women, adolescents that are sterile in their clinics, when they get guys that are less than 18 years old with low testosterone levels. This is not normal by any means, but the health trends and the ages of the people that are getting afflicted with chronic ailments are coming down, and all of that is bad. So the trends are going up very steeply, and the ages that people are getting afflicted are coming down. So together, that's like the worst combination. And so just the infrared sauna and stacking some of these things we talked about today could turn all of this stuff around. And then people can start living out their dreams. And I think that that's one of my goals.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you, Robby. I appreciate the work and the research that you've done, and these modalities and inventions that you're making available to the public at a moderate price that everybody can afford.